Ways to give, we're actually starting tonight. And what I love about this is actually level 2 or year 2 of the Prophetic Company Global's prophetic training curriculum. And what it actually is pulling apart all of the different ways that we can actually give a word. And this might seem like a very sort of basic sort of a training, but it actually isn't. So people can underestimate the power of this particular training. Tonight, we are going to be covering Speak It and Write It. So obviously most of us who have actually prophesied in the past would understand the concept of speaking it and writing it if you've actually written up a word and given it to someone or sent it to someone. Next week, we will be covering Send It, which is the social media week. That's the week when we're talking about, it includes things like emails and texts, but the main area that's actually very much my heart is social media, being Facebook, blogs, TikTok, all those sorts of areas. And what it does is it covers protocols and behavior that would make sure that you're safe. From a legal point of view, it's not legal advice, but I'm actually drawing on my understanding as a lawyer in a previous life and actually starting to cover things, concepts like copyright, concepts like protecting yourself from litigation, from people, from you actually releasing a word and saying, well, this is what's going on and this is such and such. And then that particular company or that particular individual or organization saying, hang on a minute, that's not okay. And all of a sudden you've got a civil suit on your hands for defamation. So it's actually drawing on some of the understanding that I have that's outside of the realm of the Prophetic Company Global teaching. And I possibly will be camping on that for the entire 2 hours next week. It's such an important area. What I will then be going on to is prophetic acts, which is something that I have actually got a lot of experience in, given the prophetic intercession that I've actually done. So it's the power of prophetic acts, you know, what it is if we go for a walk and we actually choose to lay hands on the corners of each of the streets, for example, as we go and all that sort of thing. We'll then be moving into praying a word. Rather than releasing a word, rather than writing a word, rather than sending a word, rather than acting a word, we'll actually be talking about praying it or prophetic intercession. So prophetic acts and prophetic intercession actually overlay one another. But again, prophetic intercession is an area of very close to my heart, and it will actually cover things such as releasing a prophetic declaration through how we dress, through how we walk, through what we actually do. And prophetic intercession also will be covering the difference between what prayer is and what petition is, as opposed to sitting and hearing the heart of the Father and then coming into alignment with what Jesus wants to release on the earth. We then move into create it. So that's actually beautiful for the creatives, but we're actually all creative. When we actually design anything, we write anything, we make anything, even making a cake is can be creating a prophetic word. So you might feel that you're meant to bake a cake, and that cake actually has a prophetic message that's actually attached to it. That is what we will actually be covering as well, creating a prophetic word and at the power of the release into the atmosphere of that. And I know that there's a number of people in this group, and there's a number of people that I'm friends with that are very powerful in this particular realm and release realities through artwork, through song, through dance, all sorts of things. Then we'll be moving into gift it. And giving a prophetic word, as in gifting a prophetic word, will include things such as actually looking at what is actually in your hand currently and being capable of actually giving it. So it might be that you go, I'm meant to give away this scarf, which is something that I have actually done. I've given a scarf away that I loved very dearly, actually, to a girlfriend who lived around the corner. She knows who she is and I adore her. She then kept the scarf for a certain amount of time, but then she would actually use it to pray for cancer patients and people who are ill. And then she felt to gift that that scarf on, and I called it a scarf of healing. So it's a beautiful pink, pale pink scarf. She then passed it on to someone who was struggling with cancer. That person used to wear it, and she said it brought a lot of comfort. And then she then passed it on. So it actually was given and given and given and given. So it actually was the gift that just kept on giving. And then we actually go into an area that is an area that I think is really, really needed at the moment. It's hold it. When do we not release a prophetic word? When do we actually sit on it? When is the timing appropriate to release a word? There have been words that I've been sitting on for a year before I've actually released them. And in actual fact, I've been sitting on things for 10 years because I didn't feel that I had the authority, or that it was my sphere or my metron of influence at the time. And therefore it was not appropriate for me to be giving or releasing that word publicly without oversight, without some sort of prophetic oversight from someone that was far more mature than myself. And it's only just recently that I've actually started outwardly releasing prophetic words rather than garnishing them within a story on my God is Good Stories blog. So there have been words encapsulated in those stories, but in terms of actually releasing words and saying this is a word from the Lord, I've only just stepped into that realm after more than 10 years of actually training and growing and maturing. So hold it is one of those areas that I think is really, really needed. Just because we hear from God doesn't mean to say that we're meant to be releasing what we're hearing. Sometimes it's a time just simply of training. Other times it's a time of intercession. And sometimes he just wants to tell you stuff because he loves you. He just wants to just let you know. I mean, I've heard stories of a person being told that a friend of theirs has actually bought something for their home, and they've gone, okay, so why are you telling me about this, God? And he goes, oh, I'm just letting you know because, you know, I love them and I love you. It'd be like me saying, oh, so-and-so has actually just bought a new car. It's a lovely new car. It's not something that I then go out and broadcast. So it's knowing and learning how to actually hold it. So we will be activating all of those different ways of giving words and creating and constructing words. And then we'll have half an hour of coaching at the end. So the course, I've actually kept it very accessible. It's run for 5 weeks. It's $25 a session, and it's 2.5 hours a session. So the first 2 hours are for teaching and for activations, and the last half hour is for coaching, so that you can actually bring any question to the table. And if I can answer it, I'll answer it. If I can't answer it, because I don't know, sometimes I can't answer the questions, I will go to people that I'm mentoring with, that I have a relationship with, that are far beyond me in terms of their journey, and I'll ask them what their take is on it, and then I'll come back to you. So it's just a bit of a taste and see for what the coaching will be that we will actually be starting in about 5 weeks' time. So come along. We will be happy to actually divide up the 5 sessions into individual programs. Let me know if you're interested in that. They'll be $30 each. Otherwise, you can buy the whole 5 weeks for $125, which works out at only $25 a session. There's 2.5 hours of training within that. So I just thought I'd jump on, explain what it was that we were doing, throw any questions into the chat, and I'll see if I can answer it throughout the day. If you want to actually, sign up, I will also pop the link into the chat, but it is under the heading on the website, www.godisgoodstories.com. If you have a look at what's on, it's under ways to give training. So pop in, have a look at that. But that's just running down the 5 weeks of what we're actually doing. I will be drawing on my legal understanding as well, but it will not be legal advice. So I just thought I would actually explain all of that. And I may even pop on a little bit later and release some prophetic words, and also give an update as to how we went on Monday. There was a whole lot of really fired up people. I got a whole lot of messages, one of which I actually posted on my personal page, and also the Verve Ministries page, So beautiful breakthrough that's actually happening. But more importantly, we're coming together as a community and growing and encouraging one another. We're just starting, we've only 2 meetings in, but it's really, really exciting because the vision I can see that God's actually giving for it is marvelous. So, but of course, yeah, we start where we start. Anyway, lots of love, and I'll look forward to catching up with you all soon.